Hello guys, so our lesson for today is about the introduction of Raspberry Pi. So let's start. So what is Raspberry Pi? The Raspberry Pi is a credit card sized computer which can be used for many of the things that your desktop PC does, like word processing and games. However, one key aspect that makes the Raspberry Pi so brilliant for school is its ability to execute Python coded programs. This allows us, along with the general purposes input-output or GPIO pins, to create programs that can control anything from a single LED to opening your garage door. So this is the example of Raspberry Pi model. So you can see you can insert SD card, GPIO pins, then the RCA video, audio, LED, USB, LAN, HDML, then HDML ports, then the CPU and the GPU, then this the power. So what are the GPIO pins? Visible in the two pictures to the left, the GPIO pins are located on the Raspberry Pi in the top left corner. There are total of 26 pins. One for 3.3 volts power in the first pin, tapos 5 volts power, 17 GPIO pins, then 17 grounds, 7 grounds. So when it comes to programming in later lesson, we will name the GPIO pins by their BCM numbers. So what is Python? Python is a free-to-use program language that runs on Windows, Linux, or Unix, Mac OS X, and has been ported to Java and Net Virtual Machine. Python is a programming language that lets us work more quickly and integrate your system more effectively. You can learn to use Python and see almost immediately gain in productivity and lower maintenance costs. Ideally, in order to create our Python runs program, we will first need to write them. This is where IDLE comes in. IDLE is special text editor software like Microsoft Word. However, it understands the language Python. This enables us to write in a language that our Raspberry Pi will be able to understand the internet. So it's this the example. This is what the IDLE tree look like on Raspberry Pi. Installing Raspbian. Installing Raspbian. In the Raspbian is the desired operating system for the Raspberry Pi. In order to download and install the operating system onto our Raspberry Pi, you need you need you will need the following Raspbian. So this is the link for download. So first, the step is the download both Raspbian and Win32 disk imager and save somewhere easily accessible. Plug the USB memory card reader into your computer. Open Win32 disk imager. Find the location, file, and memory card, and click write. So this is the example. Logging in. Now it's time to turn on our Raspberry Pi. When the memory card's HDMI lead, Ether cable, mouse, and keyboard are plugged in, plug in the power lead. As soon as you do this, your screen should be black and filled with white text. This will be visible every time you turn on Raspberry Pi. So wait until your screen reads Raspberry Pi login. So username, Pi, enter, and the Raspberry password is Raspberry, enter. So this the You can see in your screen. So configuring Raspberry Pi. Unfortunately, unlike most operating systems, the majority of the configuration for Raspbian have to be done manually. On such as example that would normally be done automatically expanding the partition in your hard drive. This allows us to use all of the available space in the memory card. So type the line sudo raspi config. So second is use the arrow key to move down to expand rows. Then press enter button. So this. So overclocking is used to increase the capability of the hardware on the Raspberry Pi. When you can overclock a machine, you can increase amount of voltage traveling through the circuit and therefore increase both the processing speed and the RAM speed. So type the line sudo raspi config. Then second is use the arrow key to move down to overclock and enter. Then select the medium, then enter. The higher the overclocking, the more likely you are to corrupt your memory card. So starting the Raspbian GUI. GUI stands for Graphical User Interface and is a type of operating system. It is the most common type of user interface as it is a very friendly way for people to interact with the computer. It makes use of picture graphics, icons, and pointers, hence the name graphical user interface. So type the line *X. Welcome to the Raspberry Pi. So ito yung lalabas sa screen mo. So terminal. Terminal in Raspbian is the equivalent command prompt in Windows. We will see terminal to execute the program that we will create later in this guide. So to run the simple type Python plus name of programs to end the programs control C. So ito yung lalabas sa screen. So installing GPIO and sound. We are about to install the number of plugin. One will allow the Raspberry Pi to understand signal from GPIO pins and other two will enable the Raspberry Pi to output MP3 files and interpret sound. So first open terminal, type the following exactly. GPIO, so ito yung lalabas, then sound, so ito yung lalabas. So that's all my report. Thank you guys.